Good morning, friends. We receive a lot of inquiries that once the organization is registered as a public charitable trust or a society or a Section 8 company, what else needs to be done? So, I am Ashish Agarwal, founder of NGO Enabler, and I will take you through the step-by-step compliance today that should be followed after forming an NGO in India. So, the first and the foremost step is application of PAN. After registration of your NGO with the concerned authority, the first thing that you should be doing is applying for a PAN, because it gives a separate identity. It creates a separate legal entity in the eyes of law. The next step would be registration of professional tax. So under professional tax, usually enrollment is done for an establishment. It is a mandatory registration for every establishment in their respective states. However, registration is also required only when the salary of their staffs exceed a particular permissible limit liable for deduction of professional tax. So professional tax is usually monitored by the state governments, and thus different states of India have different slabs, different rules for professional tax. The next step is very important because it gives you income tax exemption. So it is registration under section 12AB, which is more popularly known as section 12AA registration. So previously it was known as 12A registration, but with the amendment in the budget 2020, it will now be called as section 12AB registration. It is necessary for the purpose of availing exemption from income tax on the income of the organization. However, obviously certain conditions as laid down in the provisions have to be fulfilled. The registration have to be applied online mandatorily and will be given by the Commissioner of Income Tax Exemptions. So now comes another registration under the same act, the Income Tax Act, which is registration under section 80G. This is not a mandatory registration but helps the organization in raising funds, because for the donors to avail benefit of income tax exemption on donations given by them, it is a prerequisite. It is a prerequisite that the donor organization should be registered under section 80G of the Income Tax Act. Moreover, usually it is seen that the organizations registered under section 12AB, again it is 12AB, not 12AA, are granted 80G registration easily because the genuineness of charitable activities are already verified while providing the registration under section 12AB. So the next step is FCRA registration. So it's not the next step, but it is another registration which might be required. So if the NGO is seeking a possibility of receiving foreign funding for its charitable projects, an application for registration or prior permission with the FCRA department under the governance of Ministry of Home Affairs is compulsory. Without FCRA registration or approval, NGO cannot receive any foreign donation or grants. So the next registration can be known as TAN registration, which is for TDS compliance. During the working of NGO at any point of time, if NGO becomes liable to deduct tax from source, that is, avail such services and in such quantum that they become eligible for TDS deduction. It has to apply for TAN registration, only then they will be able to deduct the TDS of the person and file quarterly TDS returns and comply with other TDS related compliances. Not the last, but registration under the new act, a recent act, which is GST. Only when NGO is providing services like consultancy work or running a guest house, hostels, or rent the space above the monetary limit prescribed or carry out any other activity on which GST is applicable, and if gross revenue from such activity cross the basic exemption limit under the GST Act, then NGO has to apply for GST identification number, which is known as GSTIN, and file returns as per the provisions laid down. So the last registrations can be for retirement benefit schemes. This is done usually for the employees of the organization. Retirement benefits like Provident Fund, gratuity, ESI is also applicable to NGOs when the number of employees in the organizations exceeds the limit described under the relevant act like PF and ESI. They have to take registrations. So gradually the NGO needs to apply for the registration under these schemes that becomes applicable. So that's all with the various registrations which an NGO might have to apply after the formation. However, we will discuss the compliances that needs to be taken care of once the registrations, all the registrations are done. We will discuss the compliances in our next video, so keep tuned in. For any queries related to the registrations process, you can visit our website or log into our Facebook page. And for any queries, you can mail us or comment below. Thank you.